the differences in singing technique between Caruso and predecessor tenors. Today, we are honored to invite renowned YouTube vocal scholar RealTenor to discuss a unique vocal theory, the inverted breath technique. This concept originates from the vocal techniques of great tenors in history, such as Francesco Tamagno, and is radically different from traditional breath support methods. How does the inverted distribution of breath affect vocal resonance? How does it differ from Caruso's breath theory? Can this method offer new insights for modern vocal training? Today, RealTenor will provide a detailed analysis of the history, principles, and practical applications of this theory. Interviewer question 1. In the history of Italian bel canto singing, many outstanding tenors have made a profound impact. Enrico Caruso is undoubtedly one of the most prominent among them. How do you assess his contribution to bel canto singing? RealTenor Answer 1. Caruso, 1873 to 1921, was undoubtedly one of the most influential tenors of the 20th century. Not only did he inherit the vocal techniques of his predecessors, but he also pioneered a whole new singing style. His performance combined both dramatic and musical elements, breaking the limitations of traditional bel canto. Unlike the heroic style, Caruso emphasized the expressiveness of tone and emotional delivery. His high notes were clear and penetrating, while his low notes were deep and resonant. More importantly, he didn't just rely on traditional breath support and resonance techniques, but also integrated overall body coordination, emotional expression, and personal style into his singing, making his style both dramatic and artistically expressive. Interviewer question 2. You just mentioned breath support. What was special about Caruso's approach in this regard? RealTenor Answer 2. Caruso's breath support was truly exquisite. His vocal production relied almost entirely on abdominal strength, guiding the flow of sound through abdominal support. His breath distribution theory can be analyzed through what I call the clock breath distribution theory. Instead of simply using breath throughout the body, he focused on abdominal dominance, creating a flow from the abdomen to the chest and then to the head. This method not only gave his voice immense power, but also ensured stability and explosiveness in his high notes. Interviewer question 3. So, did Caruso completely inherit his predecessor's heroic style? RealTenor Answer 3. Not entirely. Although he borrowed many technical aspects from his predecessors, especially in terms of high notes and breath support, he didn't simply replicate them. For example, Francesco Tamagno, a representative of the heroic style, emphasized the power and penetrability of high notes, particularly in dramatic scenes, focusing on the explosive power of sound and dramatic tension. Caruso, however, placed more emphasis on warmth, softness, and delicate emotional expression in his voice. In lyrical passages, his voice conveyed rich emotional layers, in stark contrast to Tamagno's focus solely on the soaring power of high notes. Interviewer question 4. Besides Tamagno, which other predecessors influenced Caruso? RealTenor Answer 4. For instance, Mario Gillian inherited Tamagno's bright high notes and excelled in the performance of high ranges. While Caruso borrowed Gillian's bright timbre, his approach to breath support differed. He ensured smoother vocal flow by maintaining abdominal relaxation, paying more attention to resonance chambers and the coordination of the mouth. Therefore, Caruso's bright high notes were rounder than Gillian's, not relying solely on the tension of the oral cavity. Additionally, John O'Sullivan built upon Tamagno's breath support and increased oral cavity tension, making his high notes clearer and more penetrating. Caruso's approach differed in that O'Sullivan relied on the cooperation between the mouth and head cavities, while Caruso emphasized abdominal dominant breath support. Interviewer question 5. How did Caruso's technique influence later tenors? RealTenor Answer 5. His innovations influenced many tenors that came after him. Particularly, his use of abdominal breath support became a fundamental technique in modern bel canto singing. However, with the continuous development of vocal techniques, modern tenors now emphasize resonance-driven breath distribution, relying more on the oral cavity, soft palate, and head resonance to project a brighter and more penetrating sound. This contrasts with Caruso's era, where abdominal support was more emphasized, each having its advantages and disadvantages. Interviewer question 6. In conclusion, how would you summarize Caruso's place in the history of bel canto? Caruso, building upon the vocal techniques of his predecessors, made bold innovations by combining abdominal breath support with coordinated resonance chambers, creating a new vocal style that was both powerful and subtle. He not only reinterpreted the heroic style, but also focused on delicate emotional expression and dramatic portrayal, providing invaluable reference for later tenors. However, his technique was not without flaws. His innovations and limitations have left room for reflection for future singers. Today, we can draw inspiration from Caruso's technique while integrating modern tenor techniques to explore a more comprehensive vocal approach. Interviewer question 7. How was the concept of inverted breath developed? Follow RealTenor. My definition of inverted breath distribution is based on the theory of breath allocation. During vocal exercises, I accidentally discovered that the breath usage in the Tamagno style is the opposite of Caruso's. Caruso emphasized storing breath in the lower abdomen first, with the abdomen initiating the sound, while Tamagno's inverted breath technique begins by starting breath from the 12 o'clock position, then drawing it from the 6 o'clock position. This method was quite popular among tenors in the decades prior to Caruso, and many tenors adopted this singular singing style. It has its roots in the historical evolution of vocal techniques and reflects an alternative practice of vocal physiological mechanisms. Interviewer question 8. What is the historical origin of this inverted breath technique? Follow RealTenor. During the golden age of Italian bel canto, 17th to 19th century, masters gradually developed a breath management system centered around abdominal support. However, some vocal styles in history, such as the early bel canto tenore di grazia and tenore contraltino styles, emphasized light and flowing breath with higher resonance rather than relying heavily on abdominal pressure. In the 19th century, as theaters grew larger and orchestral arrangements expanded, tenors had to adjust their breath support methods to adapt to the wider acoustic environments. During this period, Enrico Caruso's singing style introduced a unique inverted breath management system. His sound was penetrating with a metallic quality, especially in the high register, maintaining vast resonance expansion. This sound likely resulted from his distinctive breath control technique, starting breath at the upper resonance chambers, head and chest, before engaging the lower support, abdomen and diaphragm.